Hello, everyone, and welcome to Valentin Consulting's YouTube channel guest speaker series. My name is Dr. Daisy Valentin, and I am the co-owner and founder and CEO of Valentin Consulting. And I am super excited with this guest speaker series. We have brought so many guests on this show to provide community, to provide leadership, to provide different types of opportunities in a platform that helps engage not just leaders, but community as well. And we are so excited to have someone here, and I'm so grateful for her be here. This is Dr. Elayna. Am I
Line.
saying her? Elayna. See, she has to correct me because we're buddies. Fernandez. Dr. Fernandez, thank you so much for taking out this time of your busy schedule to just give us a little taste of everything that you're sharing around the world. So please tell us who
Mm.
you are, correct the name, of course, because I butcher everybody's name and then I'm like, please forgive me. But she knows we go way back. So please tell us a little bit about you. We are so excited for you to be here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I love you. I'm really grateful for our friendship and everything we've shared over the years. And reconnecting has been such a joy for me. And I'm really excited to be here as well because I know that your platform is really to inspire and inform and to help people transform their lives. And so that's what I'm all about. And my mission really started very early in life when I started struggling with suicidal thoughts and having been through many traumatic events and experiences. I call myself a multiple trauma survivor. So all of that is what fuels me to share my story and to today be an entrepreneur. So I've been an entrepreneur in the United States for over 20 years now, and I am originally from the Dominican Republic. So I am an immigrant and a woman of color. I call myself an Afro Latina.
That's
And
right.
and so those are the things that I call myself. And one of my biggest and most important titles, of course, is being a mom of four amazing daughters. And that's who I am. I like to create, I like to inspire, like to help and teach others to tell their stories, and that's why I'm here.
That is so amazing, my friend. Oh, and we've known each other for 20 years. We never knew that this was going to be an opportunity where we would cross paths again
Yeah.
and see how much we've grown from the time we first met each other. It was like a godsend for me, I feel like. And you talk about your passion, you talk about, and this is what inspires me about you because you've always been that person that's always inspired me since the day I met you, from reaching what you wanted, no matter what had happened in your obstacles that you have overcome. But tell us a little bit, how do you use storytelling? This is what everybody wants to know. I know it. How do you use storytelling to inspire, empower the audience, especially mothers, right? Because that's one thing you said is you're a mother first, right?
Yeah.
To overcome their challenges, right? From obstacles, even maybe your story. How does that inspire moms, women that want to be moms, mom entrepreneurs, and so much more?
Thank you for asking that, Daisy. One of the things that I always like to say is, you see the smile, but you don't see the scar.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that I'm very passionate about is to kind of make sure that we're being mindful in adding an ing to overcome, because overcoming is a journey. It's
Hmm.
not a past tense, it's not a check the box. It's something that unfolds and evolves, and we're always peeling the layers, especially for those of us who have experienced childhood trauma and even trauma as an adult that we haven't yet healed because it just cuts so deep. And so,
Hmm.
one of the things, I love that you asked about moms and women. One of the things that I always say is that motherhood can be the most transformative or transformational thing, and also the most triggering thing.
Hmm.
And that's whether you were able to be a mom and couldn't, or you were able to be a mom and could, or you never wanted to be a mom, and that's tied to some kind of trauma that you are remembering, or it's unhealed, or it's unexpressed, or it's unprocessed. And so I think that the reason that we want to use storytelling is because I always say our vulnerability liberates others. When we are vulnerable to share something that is painful, that it's sacred, that it's intimate, that it's personal, that it's a part of who we are, then it gives others permission to also share their stories, but it also gives them hope because they can see that you're still here. They can see the growth you've experienced. They can also see that they are not alone, because many times when we share our stories,
Mm-hmm.
we say, ah, me too, or wow, I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm. And
And
it helps them.
yeah,
It helps them have that mindset, that resilience, right? That
absolutely.
inspiration to share that. And as you're talking about this, the acronym STORY, because it says story and we know it's about telling their story, like storytelling. But tell us a little bit how you what made your inspiration to create those letters into what you created it today.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was a God thing because uh, I just woke up one day. Well, the night before, I had prayed, like, because I had a TV appearance.
Oh, see people, she's even on TV.
Yeah. And so they said, you have 3 minutes to share your story. And as you know, Daisy, I grew up in a slum. When I was just 15 years old, I moved to a city all on my own to navigate life as a young girl, kind of trying to escape trauma and escape extreme poverty. And then many other things happened that were horrific and traumatizing. And all of these things had happened. And at this time in my life, we actually had met each other at this time. And I created my own business, and I was also dealing with ovarian cancer. And
Mhm.
so I was like, what do I share in 3 minutes? This is just too much. It's
Exactly.
too much, especially being a single mom at that time, and really struggling with balancing so much. And so the next day I woke up, and it's like I was given this download on how to organize my story into very cohesive, very consistent pieces so that I could share it very, very succinctly, and so that it would make sense to the audience, but also that it would transform them. Because one of
Mhm.
the things why we don't normally share our stories, because we think it's about us.
Mhm.
And so there are two
Absolutely.
things that I always say: your experience is for you, and your story is for others. So we don't share our wounds, we share our scars. We share
Mm.
from a place of, I already feel in a position here that I can share it without bleeding.
Mhm. It's
And
like
so
a testimony.
exactly, exactly. And so our experience is for us. So when we are in the middle of it, we journal, we talk to a safe person. If we are, blessed enough to have that, I know that sometimes we don't. And so
Mhm.
that's why I believe the page is our best friend in that moment. We share it in our prayers. We share it in these safe spaces, in these containers where it can be raw and unprocessed. But
Mhm.
when we're seeking to inspire other people, it is a processed filter story that seeks to give a lesson to others, or what I call it, as you know, a gift. Because
Mhm.
I have, this this uh, I would say, analogy that our pain, as it goes through the alchemy of pain,
Mhm.
then it turns into a gift. So that's why I use the story method of transformational storytelling. And since I was given that capacity and that wisdom, then I share it with others, because I feel that sharing my story is really great, and it is a privilege, and it is also for me an honor.
Mhm.
However, my story is not enough. We need everybody's stories to heal the world, to collectively be vulnerable and validate each other, so that we can transform together.
That's amazing because it's like a collaborative effort, right?
Yes.
Because your story only touches people in similar situations, but it may have a little niche somewhere a little different. So that little knit there can transform it into something that can collaborate to others, which reaches bigger and bigger and bigger people to come out and be more expressive. So I really like how you've categorized it as success, transformation, opportunity, resilience, and you. And you mentioned that in everything you just mentioned because it empowers your audience to see that it's not just the story. Like people hear, oh, it's just another story. It's just like Cinderella or something. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's what you went through, the trauma you went through, and how you overcame that trauma by the choices that you were given from, from God or whatever you feel that you think about. But for me, it's God, right? For you, it's God.
Yeah.
And so, I've always said that God first, family second, and career third is one of my key factors. And when you blend that together and throw it into that acronym of story, because I like how you made it acronym specific so
Yes.
people don't think it's just your story. No, it's not just your story, it's your testimony, it's your gift that you've been given by that. Now,
And
you know,
say
we want,
something that,
yes, yes.
because you mentioned Cinderella, and I have to decode that really quickly, because
Okay.
how everybody thinks, that Cinderella just like showed up to this ball and all of that stuff. But I
Mm-hmm.
think there are five things that I always share about Cinderella, five key principles that
Mm-hmm.
turned her dream into reality. Can I share that?
Yes, go ahead, definitely.
Okay.
I want to hear this because I have a feeling that I've heard this, but it's gonna be inspirational to everyone. So yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, the first thing is that she worked diligently. So we see
Mm-hmm.
even in that she was sweeping, and that's why they called her Cinderella, like the cinders, right? She was always
Yeah.
working. So she was diligent. The second thing is that she allowed herself to dream. She was always dreaming. Actually, one of my favorite quotes from the Cinderella original cartoon is that they can't order me to stop dreaming. Like they could order her to do everything, but she knew that she could still dream. And that's something that no one can take away from us. We can dream.
Exactly.
And so diligence and having a vision, and allowing yourself to dream. The third thing, I guess, is that when this fairy godmother came and believed in her, right?
Mm-hmm.
She believed in her belief. So
Mm-hmm.
many of us don't choose to believe when someone compliments us, or when someone sees our potential, or when someone says there's something in you. And she was a little skeptical at first, like,
Mm-hmm.
really, are you
Yes.
serious? But we need to also believe in our mentors. Have a mentor, have someone that like really sees who you are and your potential. But we gotta also follow the steps, because
Mm-hmm.
when she said, I need mice and I need a pumpkin, like she made it
Yeah.
happen, right?
Yes, exactly. Like she got all these things, like, get all this stuff together because she
Yeah,
knew all the animals, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of like delegate, delegate
exactly.
the
And
situation.
it wasn't passive, right? We think like that it was passive. And the fifth thing, just to kind of close it with a bow here, is that they said you have to leave at midnight. And I'm gonna tell you, if I'm like dancing with a royal prince, and
I'm not leaving at midnight.
it's like it's like well, maybe a little later, but she actually, the reason why she eventually ended up having what she wanted is because she trusted the structure that she was given. So I think
Absolutely.
that, that code, I call it the Cinderella code.
Hmm. I
It's
love
really
it.
important to really manifest and really see that our vision turns into reality. So I wanted to just kind of interject that because it really is important that we allow ourselves to dream. And I always say, when God gives you a vision, he gives you permission and provision, but we need to
Hmm.
have our little eyes open and our
Yeah, we have to
ears
see the
open.
signs, right? We have to see the
Yeah.
signs, hear and see the signs. And I like something that you said, because with the Cinderella thing that you just stated, what I liked is at the end, right? We may think, oh, we want to stay there with the prince. We just want to keep going. But there was a purpose for it. Excuse me. There was a purpose for it. There was a purpose why she needed to end it, because God had more for her, right? That's
Exactly.
what I think.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It needs to be, we need to trust in the wait.
Sorry.
I'm gonna take a sip of my ginger tea.
So,
There you
ah,
go.
there's something that want me to say that. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say that. Something was like,
Oh, you're
and
gonna say it, girl.
I am gonna say it absolutely. OMG. Anyway, let's get back to another question.
Yeah,
As I recuperate, and we know we do a lot of talks. I've been talking all day, so that's probably why this is happening. But
yeah.
anyway, the next question is, what is the most valuable lesson that you can share with us that you've learned as a businesswoman and
Mm.
as a mother, and how does it influence your day-to-day work, like what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Wow. So that is, really hard to choose one lesson because in all of these years, I started my business when my girls were 1 and 2. You remember them. Uh, and now I have 4 girls, and my oldest are 21 and 22, living out of the home. And I'm going to say that the most important thing that I can share is that my oldest, one time, as they become teenagers and young adults, you have more serious conversations and reflective of what happened and what didn't happen and all of these things. And I was sharing with them, how I felt so guilty pursuing this entrepreneurial thing because I wasn't able to be there all the time. And sometimes I have to travel. I have spoken in so many countries, I can't take them all the time. I try to take them as much as I can. But one of the things that they said is, Mom, that's the best thing you did for us. They said, we want to follow our dreams. We're following our dreams because you followed yours. We saw a mom be powerful on stage. We saw a mom, set boundaries with her clients and grow. We saw a mom who was always saying yes to her passion, even when it didn't make sense. And so for me, that was very, very validating. And and then I started to think about the alternative. Like, what if they saw a mom who just was resigned to do what everybody did? And so I think that we are so guilty sometimes. We feel as moms and as women to say yes to what we want to do, and we forget that the next generation and the young people around us, whether they're our children or not, they're looking at us. and
Mm-hmm.
and also, to kind of seal it, is I think about also my inner child. I think
Mm.
about also that little Elayna, in the slum in the Dominican Republic, dreaming with all of the things that I do today. and I made it possible for her. So not only didn't I give up on my inner child and my inner dreams, but I also was able to nurture my little children, and now I see them. I'm so proud. And even my 11-year-old, this, she just finished writing her book. She's spoken
Amazing.
internationally, and those are the things that are possible when we follow our dream.
Because that's your legacy. You follow your dream, you leave a legacy, and you leave a legacy that empowers your next generation,
Amen.
right? Because what happens is that if we stay stuck, I've had my share of obstacles. I've had my share of ups and downs, having a kid at 16 and not getting the education. But you know what? I didn't let that stop me. A lot of people don't think they have choices, and they look at the obstacles and to say I don't have choices, but there is choices.
Yeah,
You have a choice to change the narrative of your story,
yeah,
because you are your story, and you are the ones that will make the change for your legacy, for your generation, and everything like that. And that's why I love Elayna here, because she has always inspired me since the day I met you
well,
in Florida. We've been around the block, as she's been saying, or she's been around the
it,
country.
it's
Now we're right across
mutual.
the country still, you know. But you have been in platforms that just inspire me, and I've been able to share you with the world, not only right now, but prior to this, in spaces where at first nobody knew who we were, right?
Yeah,
Nobody knew who we were.
yeah,
But we are very humble and transparent about what we do and what we share. With God being first,
always.
that He's allowed us to, you know, be that, I mean, come on, you're, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 TED Talk speaker. I mean, I can't even count. Like, I'm like, people, like, if you don't see this woman when she's on my guest show, I'm gonna keep flying it until you watch it. Okay.
Thank
So
you,
it's just
Stacy.
so inspiring, because I want people to hear your story, right? I want people to know that it is possible to do the things that you and I are doing today. Like you mentioned, you're a mom, you're a godly woman, you're an entrepreneur, you are everything, right? You're a coach. You do so much to support not just, in your family, but nation and worldwide, that people need this, especially in some of our third world countries, right? Where women do not feel valued in the positions that they take up in leadership. So, you know,
Yeah.
I got one more question for you,
Yes,
because I know we're running out of time, and
yes.
I want to be respectful of your time as well. How can entrepreneurs leverage their personal stories to build stronger connections with their audience and drive success? Because you've done it. We need to know about it, because not only have you balanced the demands of entrepreneurship, but as a mother, as a voice, and everything through there, how do you do that? Tell us.
Wow, that's so great. I want to say, before I answer that, I love that you said that, there's always an option, uh, but sometimes it just doesn't look like there's one, and
Mhm.
that's very real for many of us. But looking for someone that has the option, that believes that there are options, because sometimes we don't see them. And I love your question, because as entrepreneurs and as leaders, whether in our home, work, or in the community, in the world, storytelling, I think, is the most undervalued and underestimated, but also the most powerful tools that we can ever use. Storytelling allows us to connect on a deeper level. When we tell a story, there are places in our brain that light up, and there are neurochemicals that are released, like oxytocin, which is the connection hormone. You connect with people at a different and deeper level. And storytelling is something that we're wired to do since we were born. is
Mhm.
something that comes natural to us. It's just that we think that is this thing that we need to master, or there's an art, or there's a science. Yes, there's a structure, and I can definitely teach that. But we tell stories to our friends. We tell stories with
To
our
our kids.
to our stories everywhere. So this is not rocket science. What it is powerful, because when you open up and you are really mirroring those neurons, when you are sharing from the heart, you create a bond and a trust that transcends any other feature that you sell in your business. So pair the power of storytelling with offering great value as an entrepreneur, and you have a powerful tool that will help you really not only connect but also convert. And
Mm.
you have probably seen that TED talk by Simon Sinek, where he talks
Mhm.
about people do business because of the why, not because of the what or how. And so
Mhm.
you can tap into people's whys in your marketing, in your promotional materials, in your videos, in your anything that your collateral, anything that you publish, then you're able to really connect with people so that they know exactly what you're all about, and they are loyal to you beyond anything that you sell. So no matter if you shift, or if you change, or there's something different about what you do, they will go with you. You know, there's a little story that I can tell you. These two gentlemen made as an experiment. They called it the Significant Objects Project, where
Mhm.
they purchased these little trinkets for $129. I think it is. You know, numbers are not.
Yeah.
I'm more of a wordsmith. $129, and they listed them on eBay, like 200 objects, and made $8,000 because they added as fictional story to these items. When the item, just the trinket that they went and got it at a thrift shop, right?
Yeah.
Put up a meaningful story, and they were able to sell it for I don't know how many times their price. And that was obviously an experiment. I think they gave the money back to the people and everything,
Mhm.
but what they're trying to demonstrate is that when you add a story to something, it becomes more valuable. Their perceived value increases, and the connection, the decision making process is accelerated. So as an entrepreneur, if you're not using story, it's a cost. It's a cost of inaction. I call it COI, right?
And I think that's really good. I really like what you said because you just confirmed something. Because I'm getting ready to do a speaking engagement myself,
Yes,
and I've done them, but not to the extent that I'm doing one. I'm not the professional here like my girl, yet. But
we're gonna fix.
one, yes, but one thing that I learned, and and you just confirmed it, and I like that because God always confirms the things that I hear and learn, and you confirmed it. It's tell your story. And I heard somebody say, "Hey, when you get in front of your audience or get in front of anybody, don't introduce yourself. They already know who you are. They already know why they're coming, who they're coming to see. Just
Yeah,
start off with a story."
yep,
Because you're going to capture their attention with the story, and then you go into what the purpose you're there for.
absolutely.
So you just confirmed that for me because as I'm getting ready for this speaking engagement, which and I gotta kind of like talk to my girl here
Yes,
outside of this space, right?
yes,
Because it's really important to show that, it was kind of funny because it's a small entrepreneur that's done speaking engagements too, and I told her, I said, yeah, I know Dr. Fernandez, she's always talking about stories and da da da. I'm always talking about you, right? So,
yeah.
and they're like, I mean, like, like when she said that, I'm like, wow, like that really resonates with me because people don't realize that you make connection with certain people in the audience based on the story. Like you said, it was a meaningful fictional story. And because they created a story, it it opened up a light bulb for people to like dream and wanted to buy this little trinket, like you said, that probably cost 50 cents and they sold it for like $1,000 or something. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of magical experience that people have. And I think that's what draws me too. Like when I meet people, I always say like, what is it that I can assist you with? How can I collaborate? And I want them to tell me a story. And I didn't realize that until I had this with you,
Yeah.
because it's actually when somebody's talking to you, you want them to tell you your story. And I have to be more intentional and focused with that, because I've been lacking that. And many of you out there in our audience, I think you've been lacking that as well. So I want you, we're out of time here. So I want you to give us one last thought, one something takeaway that people can say, I need to follow this girl. I need this girl. Like, I need this woman in my life. And y'all need to go see her TED Talks, by the way. Like, I gotta throw that out there. I'm like your free marketing here. Uh, so give us something really quickly that is an inspiration that you would like to share, a quote or something.
Yeah, so I think what I want to share is, the way you tell your story matters. So I could tell you, you know, when I was, it's sad, I always connect with that. But when I was homeless with my daughters when they were 1 and 2, and that's sad. Or I could tell you, I was laying on the ground in the fetal position, wondering if I could even make it, thinking that my life was over. I didn't have any money, no bank account. I didn't have a car. Didn't even know how to drive. And as I tasted my salty tears and felt the ground on my cheek, I was inspired. Two ways to tell your story. Bring us inside the story. Don't tell us the story, show us the story.
That is amazing. Can you repeat that one more time?
So don't tell us the story, show us the story.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you everyone for watching us. Keep continuing to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Guest Speaker Series, because we are bringing you leaders across the world, across the country, just like Dr. Fernandez, to give you some inspiration, to share community, to share what we are doing in the world to help those out there. This is Valentin Consulting, and please like and subscribe so you can get continuing notifications for our next guest speaker. Thank you and have a wonderful day.